Hey everybody, how are we doing out there? It's Craig and this is the Spirit of Vinyl. Happy Friday. Hope everybody's had a great weekend. The weekend is coming, so let's talk music and records and stuff. So hope you got, like I said, I hope you guys all had a great week. Hope everything's going well for y'all. Still drinking this Rheingeist Wowie, same stuff I had last weekend. Have a few more left, so going to be drinking that tonight. Still good, a little tangy. Like I said, the passion fruit kind of overpowers the pineapple a little bit, but overall, pretty good beer. All right, so today I'm going to continue on with what I did a few weeks ago. This is going to be part two of albums I have in my collection that are turning 40 years old this year. All these albums came out in 1985. So, yeah, I did part one a few weeks back, and it was way too many to fit into one episode. So, all right, we're going to go here September 16th. I'm going to start right here. Kiss Asylum, September 16th, 1985. This is the first Kiss record with Bruce Kulick on guitar, and starts his tenure with the band on the Animalized tour, and they keep him and record this record afterwards. There's the back cover there. It's got some cool songs on it. King of the Mountain, Any Way You Slice It, Who Wants to Be Lonely, Try By Far. Of course, I'm a Kiss fan, so I love all these songs, but the ones, Who Wants to Be Lonely was a hit, Tears Are Falling was a hit, All Night was a hit, Some of those songs are, there's a couple of Gene songs, mostly Paul music on here. With songs like Any Way You Slice It, Gene's vocals are off the hook, and just a very cool sound. Kind of changed our sound a little bit with the new guitar player. So there's that. Inner Sleeve. Right there. Pretty cool. And of course, at that point in time, Kiss is on Mercury Records. So I've had this that's the copy I've had since 1985. So I've had this that long. I bought that when it first came out. So, all right, next up, Thompson Twins. Here's to Future Days. Comes out September 17th. This is... I love this band. I just recently got into this type of music, started, I was aware of it obviously from back in the 80s, but I wasn't listening to this type of stuff. I started buying this more recently, and I really dig this band. If I remember right, this is the last album with this guy right here, and I don't know the names of the people in this band. Honestly, I couldn't tell you who's who. So this is the last album with him in it, and they're kind of fading away at this point in time, kind of what I get. This is produced by Nile Rodgers. It's pretty good. I prefer, Into the Gap and some of their earlier stuff. Arista Records, cool old Arista label on there. Price tag on there says $1 at one point in time. I spent $5 on it. So... But, you can't go wrong with a $5 record. And if you kind of dig the band, you dig the band. So, October 14th, arguably one of the greatest live albums ever put out. Iron Maiden puts out Live After Death. This is, to me, is definitely a top 5 live album. Of course, Kiss Alive and stuff like that for myself. But this is a great live album. It's got great track listing. Just killer record. Aces High, 2 Minutes to Midnight, Trooper, Revelations, Flight of Icarus, Rhyme of the Ancient Mariner, Power Slave, Number of the Beast, Hallowed Be Thy Name, Iron Maiden, Run to the Hills, Running Free, Wrathchild, 22 Acacia Avenue, Turn of the Damned, Die With Your Boots On, and Phantom of the Opera. Killer packaging on this. This is a repress, but it's done very well. Very cool. This picture of Eddie in the middle there. First time I saw Maiden was on this tour, and that was like the coolest thing ever. 85, I'm 16 years old. This came with this nice book that it originally came with, and it has all of the dates and pictures from the tour in it and everything else. And, I could probably find Where I saw this, of course, I'd have to, okay, here we go. There's all the California stuff, Japan. Oh. All right, well, I don't know. It's somewhere around here. I want to say it was in February, or actually, no, it would have been later because I remember it being cold. Twisted Sister was the opening act when I saw this tour, so that was really cool. But yeah, this book's cool. It's got all kinds of stuff in it, and hang on, let me find it here. Oh well. Oh, there we are. December 13th, 1984. December 13th, 1984. I would have been 15 years old. I saw this tour. I couldn't drive then. And what's funny about this is the night before they played in Denver, and then the buses got stuck in the snow, and the semis got stuck in the snow. So the show started late. So it was freezing cold. It was snowing. They finally let us in the building, and the show started late. And usually concerts are over by like 11 o'clock. And what we did is one of my friend's parents drove us there, and then my dad was picking us up. Of course, we weren't done at 11 o'clock, because the show didn't start until like 9:30. So by the time we walked out at like 1 in the morning, my dad was pissed. He was so mad at us, but there was nothing you could do. We didn't have cell phones back in the day. There's your inner sleeves on that. So that was a hell of a time. It's one of those early memories, I saw Iron Maiden and Twisted Sister on this tour at 15 years old. I wasn't even quite 16 yet, and I was getting close to that age, but just one of those early concert memories. Probably like my third show. I saw Kiss in 84, I saw Van Halen in 84, and I saw Iron Maiden in 84, and Twisted Sister. Actually, I saw Twisted Sister before this show when they were the headliner, and then after that, all the shows I was able to drive myself to. So I do remember those first four because of that. Anyway, great times, whatever. I know I'm going off on a tangent, and I know you're all like, just show the fucking records. You just have to wait. All right. October 25th, Wasp releases The Last Command. This is their second album, their follow-up to their self-titled. This has got Wild Child and Blind in Texas and Widowmaker, Last Command, and those types of things. Steve Riley is now the drummer in the band. So this is the follow-up to that. Pretty good record. I don't think it's as good as their self-titled debut. It's a repress, obviously. Yellow, 180 gram. Got the cool labels on it. It's got there's the inner sleeve. It's got lyrics and the Wasp logo on the one side. The heads and the spikes. I saw Wasp on that tour when they opened for Kiss later on that year. I remember the heads and the spikes and all of that stuff. That was a great time too. What I remember about that show is after Wasp, then Kiss comes out, and then the power went out in the building we were at while Kiss was in the middle of their encore, so they were almost done, and then we all had to go home. Right in the middle of like rock and roll night, Paul Stanley is doing his little moonwalk thing, and the power goes out, and that was it. Show was over. Okay, October 28th. ZZ Top Afterburner comes out. It's got Sleeping Bag, Woke Up With Wood, Rough Boy, Velcro Fly. Those were basically the hits on this record. This is a follow-up to Eliminator. It's good. I like it. Of course, Eliminator is something huge, and myself as ZZ Top, of course I know the music from hearing it on the radio, but I have this and I have Eliminator. That's all I own, and I know I should have Tres Hombres and all these other ones, but I just haven't done that quite as of yet. There's your labels and stuff. That is an OG copy that I just found recently. I think it's an OG, pretty damn close anyway. So all right, November 4th, Armored Saint releases Delirious Nomad. This is their second record. This one is a repress that we picked up. We saw Armored Saint open for Wasp a couple years ago. Bought these signed albums from them. They're at the show. Delirious Nomad, I like it. It's got this cool kind of inner sleeve. Well, it's an insert or whatever. It's got lyrics. It's got pictures. Armored Saint's a great band. John Bush has got a great vocalist. You know, you can't really complain. It's on this clear yellow vinyl. All right. But yeah, I do dig Armored Saint, John Bush, great vocalist. They're a pretty cool band. They kind of get blended in with the thrash of that era because of where they're from and the people they came up with, but they're not really a thrash band. You know, but they kind of, you know, and then John Bush's association with Anthrax, you kind of think thrash band or whatever, but I would not say Armored Saint was a thrash band. But they do come up from that same era and that same area, but they're not a thrash band. All right, November 22nd, Twisted Sister releases Come Out and Play. This is the follow-up to Stay Hungry. It's got Be Cruel to Your School, Come Out and Play, I Believe in Rock and Roll, Leader of the Pack. And this, I mean, when this came out, I did not like this record. They came out, I think their mistake is their first video was for Leader of the Pack, you know, and we just seen Twisted Sister with their over-the-top campiness with, you know, We're Not Gonna Take It and I Wanna Rock videos. Then they come out and it's, you know, Twisted Sister Come Out and Play and Leader of the Pack and all of that. And I think it was just a bad PR move. But overall, it's actually a better record than I remember. I didn't like it in the, you know, when I was younger. As I bought it recently, Play It Loud, Mother. There's your picture of the band. You can see they're kind of getting away from that scary stuff. These half pictures with the makeup and without the makeup, with their signature look and without it. So they're kind of moving away from that makeup and the campiness and so on. But overall, I think it's a pretty good record. There's your sleeves, your labels on there. And, you know, like I said, when it first came out, it wasn't what I was expected. And you know, so this comes out in 85, and of course by then thrash is starting to come out. We're starting to listen to that. So when Twisted Sister came out with Come Out and Play, compared to Stay Hungry, it wasn't quite as heavy, it wasn't quite as gritty or whatever, and it was just kind of a turnoff because we were, you know, at that point in time, we're starting to listen to Slayer and Metallica and stuff like that for me and my friends. So Twisted Sister was kind of going away because, I mean, they didn't come out with, it wasn't gritty and it wasn't as heavy, you know, it was more polished and stuff, and, you know, we were like really into some more raw stuff. But Come Out and Play is a good record. Also in 85, Dokken, Under Lock and Key. This has got In My Dreams, It's Not Love. Those are the two biggest hits on there. There's your track listing right there. It's Not Love. And then it's got, you know, In My Dreams. Those are the two big hits. Lightning Strikes Again was sort of a hit. I like this record. I don't listen to Dokken enough. I have this, and I don't have quite everything from these guys, but they were a really good band. Don was a great vocalist. George Lynch is a great guitar player. They're a really good band, highly underrated in my opinion. And they were on Elektra Records, so we got that cool red and black Elektra logo. Really dig. So, okay, October, The Divinyls, What a Life. The Divinyls are, well, their biggest hit is I Touch Myself, which is the hard record to find. I have all their other stuff. I really dig this band since I've gotten into that 80s pop music sound. I really dig the Divinyls. Kind of gotten into that pretty good. So that's my kid coming in. Yes, I'm recording. I'll be done in a few minutes. You can come out if you want, but so yeah, this is a pretty good record. There's your inner sleeve. Kind of cool. And those were on They were on Chrysalis. So, but yeah, I like that record a lot. It's not my favorite of the vinyl stuff that I have though. So, and I've got one more. We got to go back to April. When I made this list, I put everything in order. Then I bought this later, so I added it to the collection. So this comes out in April, and that is Slayer Hell Awaits. This is, like I said, a more modern repress. This is Slayer's second full-length album. It's the one right before Rain and Blood, right before they blow big. This has got cool stuff. Hell Awaits, Kill Again, At Dawn They Sleep. Just really killer record. And this repress came with this cool poster that unfolds. And it's got the Slayer logo on one side, and it's got the Hell Awaits cover on the other. And it has this this insert with lyrics on one side and pictures of the band back in the day. And it's on Metal Blade Records, so they've used the classic Metal Blade logo and the Metal Blade sleeve and stuff. So you got that cool old school Metal Blade label on there. So very cool find being repressed. I bought that on Amazon. So if you guys want to pick up Hell Awaits, go to Amazon and buy it. So. But yeah, that's it. That's everything I have. 1985 is in the bag. Those are all the records I had. There's like 25 of them or something from that year, all turning 40, so we can all feel old as shit and remind ourselves how that is. So thanks for watching, guys. I really appreciate it. Have a great weekend, y'all. Thank you all for tuning in, and I'll talk to y'all later.